what I was playing, Lane.
I didn't think it polite to listen, sir.
I am sorry for that, for your sake. I don't play accurately, though. Anyone can play accurately, but I play with wonderful expression. When it comes to piano, sentiment is my forte, and I keep science for life.
Yes, sir.
Now, speaking of the science of life, did you get the cucumber sandwiches cut for Lady Bracknell?
Yes, sir.
Ah, excellent. By the way, I see from your books that on Thursday night when Lord Shorman and Mr. Worthing dined here, 8 bottles of champagne are entered as having been consumed.
Yes, sir. 8 bottles and a pint.
Why is it, Lane, that at a bachelor's establishment the servants invariably drink the wine? I ask merely for information.
I attribute it to the superior quality of the wine, sir. I have often noticed that in married households, this champagne is rarely the first good bread.
Good heavens, is marriage so demoralizing as all that?
I believe it is a very pleasant state, sir. I have had little experience with it myself up to the present, and that was in consequence to a misunderstanding between myself and the young person.
I'm not sure that I much care to hear about your family life, Lane.
No, sir. It's not a very interesting subject. Never think of it myself.
Perfectly natural, I'm sure. That'll do, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Lane's views on marriage seem somewhat lax. Honestly, if the lower class doesn't set us a good example, what on earth is the use of them? They seem to me as a people that have absolutely no sense of moral responsibility.
Mr. Ernest Worthing.
Ah, my dear Ernest, what brings you up to town?
Oh, pleasure, pleasure. What else should bring anyone anywhere? Eating as usual, I see, Algy.
I believe it is customary in fine society to take some slight refreshment at 5 o'clock. Where have you been since last Thursday?
In the country.
What on earth do you do there?
When one is in town, one amuses oneself. When one is in the country, one amuses other people. It is excessively boring.
And who are these people that you amuse?
Oh, neighbors, neighbors.
You got nice neighbors in your part of Shropshire.
Perfectly horrid. Never speak to one of them.
How immensely you must amuse them. By the way, Shropshire is your county, is it not?
Eh? Shropshire? Yes, of course. Hello, why these glasses? Why cucumber sandwiches? Why such reckless extravagance in one so young? Who's coming to tea?
Oh, merely Aunt Augusta. And Gwendolen.
How perfectly delightful.
Yes, that's all very well, but I'm afraid Aunt Augusta won't quite approve of your being here.
May I ask why?
My dear boy, the way you flirt with Gwendolen is perfectly disgraceful. It's almost as bad as the way she flirts with you.
I am in love with Gwendolen. I came to town expressly to propose to her.
I thought you said you came up for pleasure. That sounds like business to me.
How utterly unromantic you are.
There is nothing romantic in proposing. It's romantic to be in love, sure, but there's nothing romantic about a definite proposal. Why, one may be accepted, one usually is, I believe. Then the excitement is all over. The very essence of romance is uncertainty. You know, if I ever get married, I'll be certain to try and forget the fact.
I have no doubt about that. The divorce court was specially invented for people whose memories are so curiously constituted.
There's no use speculating on that fact, old boy. Divorce is made in heaven. Please do not touch the cucumber sandwiches. They are ordered specially for Aunt Augusta.
But you have been eating them all the time.
That is quite a different matter. She is my aunt. Here, have bread and butter. The bread and butter is for Gwendolen. Gwendolen is devoted to bread and butter.
And very good bread and butter it is, too.
You needn't eat as if you're going to eat it all. You behave as if you're already married to her, which you're not, and I don't think you ever will be.
Why on earth do you say that?
My dear boy, women never marry the men they flirt with. Girls don't think it right.
That's ridiculous.
It is not. It's a great truth, and it accounts for the extraordinary number of bachelors one sees all about town. In the second place, I don't give my consent.
Your consent?
My boy. Gwendolen is my first cousin, and before I allow you to marry her, there's a little question of Cecily to cover up.
Cecily? What on earth do you mean? I don't know anyone by the name of Cecily.
Elaine, I bring that cigarette case that Mr. Worthing left when he dined here on Thursday.
Yes.
You mean to tell me you have had my cigarette case this whole time? I wish to goodness you had let me know. I was writing frantic letters to Scotland Yard about it. I was very nearly offering a large reward.
I wish you would offer one. I happen to be more than usually hard up.
Well, there's no good offering a large reward when the thing is found.
That's rather mean of you, Ernest, I must say, but it makes no matter, for now that I read the inscription inside, I see it is not yours after all.
Of course it is mine. You have seen me with it 100 times, and you have no right whatsoever to read what's in there. It is perfectly ungentlemanly to read a private cigarette case.
It's absurd to have hard and fast rules about what one should and shouldn't read. You know, more than half of modern culture depends upon what one shouldn't read.
I am quite aware of the fact that I do not propose to discuss modern culture. It isn't the sort of thing one discusses in private. Just give me my cigarette case.
Yes, but this cigarette case is not yours. This cigarette case is a gift from someone of the name of Cecily, and you said you don't know anyone of that name.
Well, if you must know, Cecily happens to be my aunt.
Your aunt?
Yes, charming old lady, lives at Tunbridge Wells. Just hand that over to me.
Yes, but why does your aunt, who lives at Tunbridge Wells, call herself Little Cecily? From Little Cecily with her fondest love.
My dear fellow, what is there in that? Some aunts are tall, some aunts are not so tall. Certainly that should be a matter that an aunt may decide for herself. You seem to think that all aunts should be like your aunt. Well, that is absurd. Hand over my cigarette case.
Yes, but why does your aunt call you her uncle? From Little Cecily with her fondest love to her dear Uncle Jack. There is no objection, I admit, to an aunt being a small aunt, but why that aunt, no matter what size may be, to call her own nephew her uncle, I can't quite make out. Besides, her name isn't Jack at all, it's Ernest.
It isn't Ernest, it's Jack.
But you have always told me it was Ernest. I've introduced you to everyone as Ernest. You look as if your name is Ernest. You're the most earnest-looking man I've ever seen in my life. It's even on your cards. Mr. Ernest Worthing, B4, the Albany. I'll use this as proof if you ever decide to deny it to me, or to Gwendolyn, or to anyone else that your name is Ernest.
Well, it's Ernest in town and Jack in the country, and that was given to me in the country.
Yes, but that does not explain why Little Cecily calls you her uncle. Come on, boy, you'd better have the thing out at once.
Algy, you talk exactly as if you were a dentist. It is a very vulgar thing to talk like a dentist when one isn't a dentist. It produces a false impression.
Well, that is exactly what dentists always do. Might I add that I've always suspected you of being a confirmed and secret Bunburyist, and I'm quite sure of it now.
Bunburyist? What on earth do you mean by Bunburyist?
I'll explain to you the meaning of that incomparable expression as soon as you tell me why you are Ernest in town and Jack in the country.
Produce my cigarette case first.
Here it is. Now produce your explanation, and pray make it improbable.
Oh, my dear fellow, my explanation is not improbable at all. In fact, it is quite ordinary. Old Mr. Thomas Cardew, who adopted me when I was a little boy, made me in his will guardian to his granddaughter, Miss Cecily Cardew. Cecily, who addresses me as her uncle out of motives of respect you could not possibly understand, lives at my place in the country under the charge of her admirable governess, Miss Prism.
Yes, and where is that place in the country, by the way?
That is nothing to you. You shall never be invited. I will tell you quite candidly, though, it is not in Shropshire.
Oh, I suspected that, my boy. I have Bunburied all across Shropshire on 2 separate occasions. Now, please, why are you Ernest in town and Jack in the country?
My dear fellow, I don't think you could understand my real motives. You aren't quite serious enough. When one is placed in the position of guardian, one must adopt a high moral tone in all subjects. And as a high moral tone can hardly be said to conduce to either one's health or one's happiness, to get down to town, I have always pretended to have a brother named Ernest who lives at Albany and gets into the most terrible scrapes. There, that's the truth, pure and simple.
Ah, but the truth is never pure and rarely simple. Modern life would be quite tedious if it were either, in modern literature, a complete impossibility.
Well, that would not be a bad thing at all.
Literary criticism is not your forte. You would much better leave that to those that haven't been at a university. They do it so well in the daily papers. No, but what you really are is a Bunburyist.
What on earth do you mean?
You have created a younger brother named Ernest in order that you may be able to come to town as often as you like. I have created a perfectly invaluable permanent enemy named Bunbury in order that I may be able to slip down into the country whenever I choose. For instance, if it weren't for Bunbury's curiously bad health, I wouldn't be able to join you